Hello, hello. I'm Matt Mulholland. This is the Listen to This Bull live show. This is a show where we bring on industry people and we ask them all kinds of questions. The audience gets to ask questions. We basically put them on a hot seat. We ask them anything that we can. They have to answer it. And if they don't answer it, then we kick them off. We've never kicked anybody off because they always want to answer the question. I don't know. Maybe we've been too easy on them. Maybe this is the show where we piss them off so badly that they have to run screaming.
No, I think, but Jessica is a doctor, so I feel like we can really
Yeah,
stick it
it
to
would
her.
take a lot probably to scare her off. She's got all that doctorate going on. I do not have Remington with me, and that's because he got caught in some kind of an arbitration or mediation or something that he's doing for another one of his clients that is more important than this show. But he might be joining us a little bit later. So today we have a really, really awesome guest. Her name is Jessica Stahl. She is a doctor. Some people call her Dr. Jess, Dr. Stahl, Dr. J for short. We'll see how that goes. I don't know what I'm going to call her yet, but I'm sure by the end of the show we'll figure it out. And she is the owner of a company called Ignite Results, which is a business management consulting firm. But she has all the credentials to go along with that. So hopefully you guys have a ton of questions about business consulting, what to look for when trying to find someone like that or something along those lines. But as always, put your questions in the comment box. If it's a good enough question, we will answer it live. We want your questions. This show is driven by the questions. This is supposed to be a Q&A, not an interview. I don't want to be an interview show, but it's up to you guys to put comments out there and ask us questions for this not to become an interview show. Don't make it happen, please. I don't want that, all right? Because I can't always come up with the questions. I think it's crazy. So I'm going to bring Jessica on right now. Hey,
Hi.
Jessica.
Thanks so much for having me. That was a great introduction, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Made it completely up on the fly. Always the best part. So
It's
it looks
fun.
like your buddy Joshua just got into the wings as well. And we're going to pull you on just a minute, bud, but we can't hear you at all right now. So you just hang out there. Jessica, how long has Ignite Results been around?
So officially, just over a year. So we launched we picked up the first client at Win the Storm last year.
So you've been doing all of your business during the COVID stuff.
Right.
That's a good
Yeah.
career to start. There's plenty of opportunity somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great. COVID hasn't slowed us down at all. I mean, we've been thriving, picked up a few clients at the beginning, and
Mm-hmm.
after more people have recognized our brand, it's been less like me having to go get leads and people just commenting and asking questions every day. And so I definitely can see the growth even from 6 months ago.
So you basically help companies get through all their bullshit, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, really looking at the people side of things. So anytime you have a breakdown in your organization, people are involved. So once we can fix that issue and identify the issue with your team, then that's the place we'll start before we get into anything else.
Okay. I've just been told your mic is super loud, so I'm going to see if I can adjust you down a little bit. Say something, Jess.
Something.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Garrett's going to have to tell us. So, Garrett, is that better? Just so the audience can see. This is what we got in the comments. It's not a question, by the way, Garrett, but we appreciate the statement.
Yeah, you're kind of soft as well. Yeah, I can't hear you as well, but
You can't hear me as well? I can turn mine up, I guess. Oh, now I'm muted. That wouldn't work. All right, hang on one second, guys. There's always something that happens at this point during the thing. Here we go. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat and just turn it up right here. It's you. This is me. How's this? Is this better? Can you hear me okay?
yeah, that's great.
All right, cool. Low talker. You sound like the law talker on Seinfeld. The low talker on Seinfeld. Is that a thing? Does anybody else know who that is?
No.
Pate says, I'm on my way to Atlanta. Do you want dinner or drinks tonight? Yes, but after the show, Pate. God. Olivia says yes, too. So you just invited her, by the way. You didn't even realize it. You're not in Atlanta, are you, Jess?
No, I'm in Tampa.
Okay, well.
Boo.
And no dinner for you. Sucks for you. All right, so you basically go into these companies and help them out. And there's a lot of companies that do this kind of thing, right? So they're business consultant. Are you a business consultant? Is that what you would call yourself?
Yeah, I would say so. You can call me like really anything that you want. I'm an organizational
Anything?
psychologist. I mean, anything.
Anything.
Yeah. So
I knew by the end of the
we
show.
focus on the people side of your company. A lot of like leadership training. We do management consulting, helping you put structure in your business. A lot of goal setting and strategy. So you can like business consulting, business operations consulting, management consulting is probably like the best term.
But you're definitely a consultant.
Yes. So
Okay.
a consultant means that instead of just coming in with off-the-shelf solutions, that we're meeting with each company one-on-one, identifying their goals, and then putting an action plan in place to reach the goals.
So in the wings right now is a guy named Joshua Blanche, who is a customer of yours. And
Yeah, one of my
has he gone
favorites.
through the entire program, or is he just starting with you?
No, he's been through it.
Yeah? Does he have good things to say about you?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Here he comes.
You don't even know. This will be interesting.
No, I know he does.
Oh, you better. Oh, now you're talking,
Howdy.
Josh. Let's go back to this.
Hey,
That works
Josh.
better.
How's it
Hey,
going?
Josh, how you doing? Is it okay if I call you Josh?
Yeah, that's fine.
See, I told you, Jess.
Gosh.
Before we got on, he's like, he goes by Joshua, not Josh.
That is true, but I won't beat you up too bad for calling me Josh. Either way, it's
No,
all
you're
good.
supposed to. Beat him up.
You can kick my ass. It's cool. I'm used to it. I'm very weak. So, what's the name of your company, Josh?
It's Pro
What?
Roofers
Pro Roofers. Where are you located at?
out of Blue Springs, Missouri.
Why did you hire a consultant?
So actually, I met Jessica when the storm last year, and she had had a breakout session, and was kind of going over core values and the importance of the mission and the vision and how that can lead your company and help you to have that unity and bring on the right people. And it was pretty well general throughout the room that not a lot of the contractors had any of that stuff together. And so she kept saying, well, come see me at my booth if you want to get that stuff figured out. And so anyways, I went over and I met her at the booth, and that's some of the stuff that I had on my mind, things that I wanted to nail down, but I'm not a huge creator. That's not one of my strong suits. I'm more of a people person, a deal maker. That's part of my genius. And so pairing up with Jessica, that was basically something I needed, and she had the answer for me. So
You think that she helped you? Or hang on a second before
absolutely.
you answer that. It's just us now, Josh.
there you go. Okay,
You
so
think
now
that
the
she
nitty-gritty.
helped you? I mean,
No,
was it?
absolutely. She did.
was
She
it
did
worth it?
great.
Yeah. I mean, she can't hear a word you're saying right now, so you can say anything. Are you sure?
No, it
Definitely
was
good?
She not only kind of like what she said. She didn't bring in off the shelf solutions. It was personal to me and building it out the way that I had it kind of envisioned and bringing out the creator side of me, and so that was really good. It was unique for our company versus just like, hey, everybody's doing this, just plug that in and it works. It was more like, here, this is your vision and let's make it yours and let's make sure that it aligns. And so we set up our core values: trust, service, excellence, growth, and teamwork is what we set up that aligns with our belief system, and that's been really helpful.
That's 4 core values.
5.
5. I can count. I used to be able to. It was the beer.
Yeah. So
That's a
we'll
lot
see.
of core values. Most people do 3, don't they, Jess?
Between 3 and 7.
7. That's a lot of core values. So core values are something you build a whole team around, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's our starting point, is doing like the mission, vision, and values. So after we had our values, then we could look for team members that had those values to bring them on. Any type of like performance review, if somebody's like getting out of line or not following protocol, it's like, we have a value of integrity. We have a value of excellence. So being able to coach them back into the culture of the company rather than just saying you're wrong, you're fired.
Okay. So, but if they can't come back to the culture of the company, they're fired, right?
100%. Got to cut them loose, man.
Do you teach companies how to fire people? I mean, is there a technique to the you fired? I mean, is that how you're supposed to do it? That's how the Donald does.
I coach Josh through this process.
Oh, really?
So you never want to just say you're fired. It's really like a performance management plan. So first you're going to meet with someone and find out if a lot of times we think, oh, it's a bad employee, but maybe they don't have the resources, maybe they don't have the proper training. So making sure those things are in place, giving them feedback. A lot of times, like we're waiting like 2 months in to give feedback, but being able to catch things right away. So even like in the onboarding process that we developed for Josh, so there's weekly check-ins every week. So if someone's like not fitting the core values or not getting up to speed, like that's right there to catch within a week.
Josh, did you see how quickly she adapted to the situation? I started calling you Josh.
Sorry.
I did notice that right off. I was like, oh, hold on, Jessica.
Oh, maybe she's on board with it. Yeah, that's pretty funny. So, what was Josh absolutely terrible at?
Oh, gosh.
Lay it on.
No.
He's willing.
I mean, he's probably the best client that I've had. And
all your other clients are rolling over right now. Like, oh.
No, just he was so willing to learn, and there was a lot of trust in our relationship. So, like all the questions that he had, I was able to answer on the spot, and he was really good at reaching out to me and involving me in the whole process. Yeah, I think one thing that I would say definitely improved since I started working with him is letting go of some of the control. Instead of him being involved in every step of the process, from like selling a job all the way to like collecting the payment, it's like letting a lot of that go. So we built systems and standard operating procedures so he can feel like really comfortable letting those things go.
Josh, I feel your pain on that stuff, man. That's tough. All right. I've had to take a lot of hats off this year myself, and it's really hard letting some of those go.
And look at us. No hats, just hair, man. Look at us go.
Well, I got the hat with me. She talks.
I'm over here.
Yeah, it's is that a common element for most business owners?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bet it is.
For sure. I mean,
Josh, what was well, without giving away her secret sauce, I mean, unless you want to. I mean, that's what makes my show good, is you're just giving it away. But if you can avoid it, but don't. Without giving away her secret sauce, what was the biggest thing that you learned from Dr. Jess over here?
Let's see. So, I don't know. There's a lot of great takeaways, but I mean, on a daily basis, something that we are guided by is like our principles and core values. Like that was a huge part of the way we built out every single system, was the core values, and helping us to hire and fire and build our team culture. That's a big deal, and I didn't realize how big of a deal it was and how much that guides you in the hiring process, and then the way that we deal with our customer service, the way that we deal with just the way that we have fun, or just whatever it is. Like everything about our business is guided by those principles, those core values. And so that's probably that was the foundation to build up the systems and, take off some of those hats, and help build out the company a little bit. So that's probably one of the biggest things that helped build our foundation on.
The hat has a question. Joshua, with your team that was already in place, all these things being put in, how did that really translate for them? Did a lot of people leave, or was it fairly easy for most of your already established employees to kind of make those transitions?
That's a good question.
Everybody's really bought in really well. It's been a fun process. And it actually, because we kind of co-created a lot of it with them too, that helped with their buy-in. But since then, we've hired several other people, and just their excitement for joining and becoming the best version of themselves. And obviously, like when we align with a belief system, it's a lot easier to have that buy-in. And so we have, core values typically are going to be something that most anybody can align with, but it does give you direction in the way that you're moving forward. So, so we have an internal creed that we've created is build people, solve problems, and live fully. And so that's part of, we're trying to build up everybody that's around us, especially our team. And that's where we brought in, like, first we started with the four core values, and we added teamwork because that became so key to taking off the hats and decentralizing the command, and relying on each other to be able to go through those systems. So we were like, man, we got to bring on teamwork, because it's just like, it started to kind of fit the mold of where we were going and the direction we were going, and decentralizing the command, because everything was on me at first. And so taking off all those different hats and giving them to different people to handle. It's been, anyways, I guess I'm going on a tangent all over the place, but the team has adapted really well, and the decentralized command is feeling a lot better. It still has work to go.
Always.
But we're on the right track, I think.
I like the terminology you guys are using. Josh, I'm going to let you go. Really appreciate you jumping on here and giving us a little bit of your experience with Dr. Jess. I thought it was fantastic having you here. Plus, you and I can just talk shit about her later on, okay?
Thanks so much. I'm so glad you.
Appreciate it.
Oh, we're fighting each other again. You do it. It's all you. There you go.
He's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's always nice having somebody to tell you how
now
good
you have a
are. We're gonna
live
find out
review.
the truth later, though. The truth
You have
will
a live
come out.
review now.
Yeah. That was something that was really big, is like to let go of some of those roles. And so one of the first things we did is like, okay, tell me about everything you're doing in the day. Which things do you like? Which things do you don't like? And so one of the first people we hired was his admin. So all the things that were bogging him down, or things that were like taking his energy, we created a job description based on those things and hired an admin. And that was one of the key roles. The admin's amazing. So, and we were able to find her through, so instead of just hiring like based on skill, we would ask specific interview questions based on her value system.
I like that. So that was actually the first hire I made for All Good Adjustments. That's not true. It wasn't the first hire. It was the first real hire I had to make with All Good Adjustments. And she ended up buying in and becoming my business partner, Desiree Fleming. I tell you what, I needed one. Oh my God, did I need an admin?
Yeah.
There's a lot of PAs out there, a lot of public adjusters, probably a lot of roofers as well, that just, they let claims kind of fall between the cracks because they don't think about them. They're not the exciting claim that you're thinking about every day. There's parts of your job that you are really good at, and there's parts of your job that you really suck at. And everybody sucks at some part of their job. I sucked at keeping track of shit.
He still does.
I still do. I don't even know how old I am.
So, Jessica, what got
That's
you
true.
in the kind of roofing restoration field specifically?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I never wanted to be in roofing. I actually hated roofing because I saw just like how it kind of tore my family apart. My dad owns a roofing company. He's owned it for 12 years now. And at the beginning, there was no systems, there was no culture. And he actually had a stroke while trying to fire someone, and he almost died, in the office because of lack of people management skills. So really, it was like life or death at that point.
He didn't die, right?
No, he
Did
didn't
the
die.
person end up getting fired?
I'm pretty sure. Maybe,
Okay.
I don't know. They probably called the ambulance.
I had to make sure he didn't die before I asked that question, because I was about to get into some deep shit with my wife with that one for sure.
Yeah, you definitely were.
Yeah, that was going to be ugly.
Yeah. So
But
he
it's
had that
okay.
experience.
See,
And
like,
I was like, I've been in corporate. I've got my PhD. I spent 10 years in school, consulted for 12 companies, none in the construction industry. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I know it works in every other company, but we don't have really another choice. So we're going to need to see if I can help the company because
mhm.
obviously this is not going right. So building the culture, building the systems. And so a system means like processes and steps for every action that's repeatable. So, even like a process of how to load a job in AccuLinks. If it's an admin, how to post a job on Indeed. So really getting specific with action steps on each thing that everyone does. That was a huge thing. And then just finding better employees that fit with the core values. So that happened. That was several years ago. So he was at 3 million, consistently stuck at 3 million. He'll be at 20 million this year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I guess you turned that shit around.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like he's got way too much time now. So my mom is like, why did you do this? We need him back at work. So he's like
He's a
bothering
hobby.
her.
So you just realize through that that industry and this industry just needs more of that, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, roofing is like, it's just where my heart is. It's really, I mean, I grew up in the trades ever since I was 2. My dad has been in contracting. So I just like know like the hearts and the minds of contractors of roofing teams. So it made it really easy because I just felt like I was working with my family.
Right.
I have 5 brothers. They're all in the trade. So
Oh, goodness.
yeah, only
They're all
girl.
roofers. Are they all working together?
Two are in roofing. 2 are in industrial piping. 1 is just doing general labor.
Okay. Are any of them working together?
Yeah,
I don't know why that matters to me.
yeah. It's 2 and 2. So two of my brothers work at my dad's company, and then 2 work at a piping company.
I wish my brothers worked with me. I think that's what it comes down to. I'm introspecting over here.
Aw,
I miss
They
my
don't-
brothers.
that's
My sister
awkward.
worked with me for a while. You ever worked with a sibling? I guess you
Oh,
worked
yeah.
with your entire family over at that
Yeah.
roofing company. Yeah, so never mind.
Yeah.
Of course,
And my
and it worked out
family
for
is-
you.
They're very interesting. I call us like the Beverly Hillbillies. Yeah, it's like we have to like it's like okay, we're going to a fancy restaurant. We have to like prep each other. Like let's be on a polite behavior here.
Are you supposed to change your behavior at fancy restaurant? Is the fancier the restaurant, the more your behavior is supposed to change?
I mean, social norms. I guess it's like
Yeah.
use the right fork and put your napkin in your lap and
But at the
Like-
same
Matt doesn't
token,
understand social norms.
The
So it's
fancier the
falling on deaf
restaurant.
ears.
the more you're supposed to change and be polite, right? But also the more money you're spending, which should give you the right to be more of an asshole. It doesn't make sense. It's a stupid dichotomy.
yeah. I just remember a couple of years ago we went to like a Conkling roofing conference and everybody's Mennonite in there and so like very just like poised, polished behavior. And my brother was like, I wonder if this tablecloth would light on fire. So that happened. Everyone's like, nice dinner. My brother pulls out a lighter and like lights the little placemat on fire. I'm like taking my water and like dumping it on the tablecloth. That's just one example of what happens on like a family road trip here.
I love it.
So I
It
guess
sounds
it
like my
did light on
family.
fire.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely
Now you know.
Mhm.
Now you know.
burns very quickly.
I really want to just do the sheet pull-out thing at one of those
I
restaurants.
don't think you have enough hand-eye
I
coordination
feel like
for
no, I
that.
definitely don't. But I feel like maybe I could do it. And if I go to a restaurant that's like $500 for 2 plates, I think I've bought those plates. So if they break, I bought them. It's cool, right?
No,
Right?
not cool.
No,
Definitely not cool.
that would be cool.
So, if like a company were to hire you, what's kind of how do you structure it? Like coming in, what's your game plan? How do you kind of go into how to help them?
Yeah, so the first place that I start is with their mission, vision, and values. A lot of companies, even companies that have been around for 5, 6 years, they don't have a vision of where they want to go. And they certainly don't know how they want to show up every day. So your vision is what keeps you in line. That like focus is a big thing in the roofing industry, that you need to be focused if it's like on a certain market, a certain product, but continually trying new things and putting your energy in so many places. We need to have a vision for where we want to go in the next 3 to 5 years. And then your values is how you want to show up every day. And that's where and you're going to see a lot of differences. You can have like this aggressive hustle culture. You can have like more family, stable culture. So defining like what's important to the owner. And then based on that, breaking it down into smaller goals. We usually just focus on a year of what needs to happen for a year. And then we start building out all the systems. So we're going to build out the standard operating procedures. We're going to build out like a custom hiring process. That's huge.
When you say we, are you like hands-on involved in that, or are you just given homework?
No, so I offer different packages. We're involved in everything. It's not like, you just like, here's a roadmap to success, because first, no one wants to read all that shit.
No,
So
they don't.
True.
no, it's not
Is
like
it on audio?
here's a template. So yeah, typically I like to work with contractors for 3 months, really intensive. So I'll go out to their business. I'm reviewing everything. I'm meeting their team. I'm doing ride-alongs. I'm just really digging into their company, looking over like even things like closing ratio, profit margins, like looking over data to see like turnover analysis to see what the problem is, because a lot of times like the problem we think we have is the symptom. It's not actually the cause. So we need to dig a little deeper about what the problem really is.
Do you ever piss off your client?
I mean, I definitely challenge them.
That's a yes.
Like,
She has
so,
totally pissed them off.
I mean, I think every relationship takes trust, but the way that I work with clients, we need to go start to finish in 90 days. That's the attention span of contractor. So we need to like really, for real, do a
That's
turnaround
generous.
and
You can't
and
say anything. Your attention span is definitely
Way
shorter
shorter.
than 90.
That's true.
so each week I'm giving them action items and I'm giving myself action items. So if we come back together and they don't do their action items, then it's like, what was the problem? Do you not understand this? Did something come up? Do we need to pause for a week? So, I mean, it never comes down to they don't do what I want. It's like we have a goal and a plan for the next 3 months. And if we want to hit our timeline, these are the specific things you need to do. It would never be more than an hour's worth of work for the contractor. So I do all the heavy lifting in the background. I'm actually the one implementing the changes. I'm with you on the calls to do your interviews. I'm advising you all along the way for every decision you're going to make about your people.
You basically take control for a while.
I would say it's a partnership. So I'm
Right,
never
right.
the
A
final.
partnership, but you're very heavily involved in just. Let's be honest. You're the puppet master at that point in time, right? You're just.
For certain decisions.
A little bit.
I don't want to just say no. I'm not like taking control, but I mean I've been doing this a really long time and advising companies. I've worked with 17 companies now, 10 companies in roofing. So taking my advice definitely speeds up the process, but it's never like the contractors know their business, so there's no like supplement for. They're on the jobs every day. I'm not on the jobs every day, so it really is like about our communication and our fit in a partnership.
Have you ever fired a contractor?
No comment.
Have they ever fired you?
So it was like a mutual like agreement, basically, that if you can't pay me on time, then it's probably not going to be like
So,
a good fit.
who got the last word in?
I would say
yeah.
I did, like, even though like we had a contract of like, this is when payments due, um, then like if they don't pay it, I'm never going to be like unprofessional. I'm never going to like be rude to a client, because if they don't pay me on time, obviously that's an issue going on with their business. And it's like,
Mhm.
is this something that we can fix really quick, or is this going to be an ongoing problem? If not, then I'll do like a contract buyout that they would pay me like a percentage of the remainder of the contract.
Hopefully that doesn't happen very often.
No,
But
it's
I would
happened once.
imagine you're probably going to come across a lot more of that in your career at some point, especially with the clientele that you've chosen. Roofers can
Yeah,
be very opinionated.
I do a better job at qualifying my potential clients,
Mhm.
and I have enough people coming to me that I can be a little more selective.
I guess that's true. Because if you sucked at qualifying your clients, then you'd probably suck at your job too, right? Do you have to be an expert at your job or at your business in order to consult others on their business?
So, like an expert at running a consulting firm.
I guess so, yeah. After you said
Yeah,
it out
I
loud like
mean,
that.
I would say like if my business wasn't successful, I wouldn't want to hire me. So, I mean, like I
It's
was
like
able to
driving
do,
past a roofer and you see their building and their roof looks like shit. You would never hire that roofer, right?
right, yeah.
Right. It's all rusted. It's a metal roofer and they have a rusted roof. You'd never hire them.
Yeah, everything from our communications to the way that we handle clients to um, tracking the results that we're getting is really professional. Like the way that it's structured is from like I ran Fortune 100 companies hiring processes. I was at Public Supermarkets for 4 years, which is one of the best companies in the country, especially for culture. So that's the approach that we take, is this Fortune 100 highly polished, super professional approach, and take it down to small business.
So we got a question from Josh Friedman. And I called him Josh, by the way, just so you know. And when people call me Matthew, it always feels weird. I don't know. I realize it's written as Matthew on Facebook, but people, it's just weird because my wife says Matthew whenever she's mad, and I always anyway. That's a whole separate topic. Is there a specific personality type analysis that you prefer? Do you do personality assessments?
I do. Hmm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
use
that's one of
DISC,
the
right?
main.
You use
What?
DISC?
So I can talk a little bit about like the different tests. So first of all, you're not going to use these type of personality assessments in the hiring process. So like the Myers-Briggs, this is not backed by science. It's more putting people in broad categories.
Hmm.
And it's not exactly reliable, so you'll often classify as different things, but it's a great talking point to see, okay, there are differences in personalities, but that's not something that you would use to make a hiring decision on. That's for development. Same with the DISC. I would never use the DISC to hire anybody. That's going to tell you about their communication style, but that's not going to tell you if they're going to be successful in the job. So that's also going to be used if you want the manager and the employee to have a great relationship. That's a great tool, but you wouldn't use that in the hiring process. Um, the strength finders, that's what I would recommend using that in the hiring process. And so I actually do strength finders workshops. So when I go out to my different clients like Joshua, my other clients, so I conduct the strength finders assessment for their entire team, which is really cool. So for instance, on Josh's team, there was very low strategy on his team. So there's like 4 different buckets, like your strategy, your execution, your influencing people. And so the next person that we hired was really strong in strategy, because that was a hole in the team we needed to fill.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
strength finders is an excellent choice. And also, I mean, you have to be careful in the hiring process, because you can have different strengths and still be great at a job. It just could influence the approach that you take to be successful at the job.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know, I've always thought that if I wanted to expand in a role that I wanted, I wanted to duplicate myself. So I was always looking for someone like me. And I ended up with someone completely different than me almost every time.
Mhm.
I don't know what that says about me, but I always ended up with somebody different that had different strengths. And they always were able to do the job in a completely different way than I would have been able to. So different personality types are able to do things. But it's odd. It struck me when you said that you were looking for someone with the strategy strength, because that is a skill that wasn't a strength of the team prior to.
Mhm.
It's actually a really good way to go about hiring.
Exactly.
I never thought about it that way. I've always tried to
Mhm.
duplicate myself, but that doesn't make any sense. A whole bunch of Matts is still going to have the same problems that Matt has to
Right.
begin with.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely
Duplicated.
having diverse
Why are you
skills is
laughing?
the way to go.
Because you don't have any Matts on staff.
No, I don't. I have no Matts. I still
We're
want more
all
Matts.
so different.
I have a hat. It's very close to Matt.
Awkward silence.
It was awkward. A little bit. A little bit. So what is Mo Mats, Mo problems? That's true. My wife would definitely agree with that. Yeah, because we had 4 Mats, and they were all problems for her. Every single one of them. And they're little assholes. And for whatever reason, as bad as they are to each other, because they're vicious, but they do it in a very witty way. And I'm so proud. Why is that? Why am I proud of my kids when they're just vicious to each other? That's messed up, right?
Yeah, you're evil.
That says a lot about me.
It does say a
We,
lot about
we need
you.
to do a
We need
personality
to act
test.
Dr. Jessica, because I feel like she could analyze the crap out of that.
My wife is watching. She's like, yes, it's a big problem. Yes. She kept having kids with me, though. Go figure. She liked it. She's a masochist. So what's the biggest problem you think that most contractors face?
Themselves.
Yeah. That's
So
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of your own way and you'll do better. I think the biggest
Exactly.
problem is people not wanting to look for help, or not wanting to admit that they should have help.
Mhm.
They want to believe that they are good enough without someone like you.
Right.
And hell, I'm guilty of that. I
Yeah.
bet most people are.
I mean, when you're coming in and you're like, I've been successful in my business for over 20 years. Like, why do I need to bring someone else in? So, I mean, typically those type of clients aren't going to reach out to me. They're reaching out because they are stuck at a certain revenue and they want to be able to double their revenue, scale their company, and they can't. So, I mean, typically like the hardcore, old school people are not my client. It's going to take some kind of innovative growth mindset. When growth happens, it's always uncomfortable. So someone being able and being willing to be uncomfortable for several months to be able to grow. I think that's where the relationship with me and the close partnership, walking them through some of those fears, creating systems so they feel comfortable letting go. That's been some of the main things that why having someone on weekly and involved in your business is successful. The change management piece.
Do you have a business coach or a?
Mhm.
You do?
I do, yeah.
Who is it?
Her name's Melissa.
Yeah. Does she do this for contractors too?
She actually, yeah. Well, she's just mainly doing part of the coaching. She's not getting into business operations. Like if there's personality conflicts or some of the softer skills, wanting to be a better leader or overcome something, I'll refer clients to her if I don't have the capacity. So she's actually, yeah, she's some of my clients she's worked with on an individual basis.
Well, that's cool.
Mhm.
Well, who does she go to? It's like Inception business
Yeah, I
consulting,
know she has
right?
a
There's
coach.
always somebody else. There's got to be an originator.
So
Whoever that person is, it's got to be like the ultimate business consultant.
yeah.
Whoever
You're
starts
way
that
overthinking
chain.
that. Way
Oh, yeah.
overthinking.
Probably.
So I also have like a lot of people in the industry that I feel comfortable calling if I don't have the answer right off the bat. So yeah, like Scott Riopel out in Colorado, he's been an amazing resource. Definitely his systems are the best, and even just being able to learn from him for the past month, I would say I've already improved some of the stuff that I'm doing. So it's consistently learning and consistently growing, and I think that he is a really great role model and has been a great friend in the industry. Peyton
Well, the
Smith.
fact that he's letting you check out his business model and everything and take a look at everything that's going on, I mean, that's huge. I honestly
Yeah.
thought he was one of your clients.
Yeah.
Oh, he is?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
then he's paying you to look at his stuff. So that's even better. So do you steal from your other clients too on their processes and then give it to the other ones?
No.
No.
I don't. Not at all. That's like completely
Big
like
no-no.
unethical.
No, it would be terrible. But there's got to be
No.
like a certain amount of information that you learn from every single one that you take along with you. 2 years from now, you'll be better at consulting than you were in the very beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, because
sure.
you're going to learn along the way. So in a way, I mean, you're not stealing, but in a way, you're taking away just as much as they are sometimes.
Well, if she implemented it, it's her product.
Oh, it's
so...
totally her because she basically takes over the company at the beginning of it.
So do you work with small startup companies?
For
You do
sure.
startups?
Yeah. Like people that are just getting into the industry, for sure.
Do you think they need you more than someone that's been around for a while, or the other way around?
So I would say the answer is always it depends.
That sounds like a Remington answer.
It does.
So
And a
like,
doctor answer. That'll work.
I'm going to work with those type of clients differently. I'm not going to go work on a 90 day like fast track basis with someone who's new because they're not going to be able to implement a lot of the stuff that I can offer. So I scale it down and I do what's called a Kickstart Package.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's for smaller contractors.
Well, that's
To
a good
where I'm
idea.
doing mission, vision, values, and goal setting. I'm giving them an operations manual and going through it and helping them recruit their first 5 sales reps.
Well, and realistically, that would be when you would want to start, because then you're starting off on the right foot. And
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that makes a
everything's-
hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I wish I had done that early on. We would have been able to avoid a lot of headaches that we had.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So what do you think sets you apart the most from other consulting companies?
Hey, before you answer that, let me
Okay.
ask
Oh,
that
no.
same question in a different way. I want you to pretend that you're a shit talker. All right?
No,
Totally talk shit. All right, just for a moment. This is just you're out of character. This isn't you. But if you were somebody that was a shit talker, what would you say about the other consultants versus you?
Don't do that. Don't do
You know
it.
you want to. Come on.
No, I think
You're making her
everybody
nervous.
has their specific niche, and I would say a lot of my peers have been super successful with their methods. Ours are just different. It's not just like you have like a successful roofer that's now going to teach other people how to create a roofing company because they're really starting with a sample size of their company, and they go try to make other companies like their company. For me, coming with a really diverse background, I have a history of helping multiple companies create their type of company based on their mission, their culture, their values. So I'm co-creating a company that works for them. It's not just like off the shelf, create a company that works like this one successful company.
I bet that doctorate helps.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
were getting your doctorate, is this like what you planned and what you wanted to do? Or like what put you into this career path?
So no, I've always wanted to own my own consulting firm. Partly because I'm just not great at like adulting in corporate America. It's kind of like the fancy restaurant. Like, you got to follow the rules, and like you can't tell people what you them, and like you got to show up like every day at the same time, and that was just never like my thing. So, I mean, I did it obviously and was successful, but I wanted to actually like make a difference and be in charge of my own income, and be able to help the people that I wanted to help, because it's really all about like what drives me is seeing the difference that I make in the lives of my clients. And as owning my own business, I'm in charge of that. But specifically roofing, like it's kind of like the mafia. Like once you're born into it, you somehow find your way back to it.
Yep.
It's part of the family.
Yeah, but
My
it's
dad
like
says
that's
it
where
all
my
the time.
heart is, and that's like where, like that's just where like I know like the personalities, and it's like working with family, so it just is a really natural fit for me to be in the industry.
So what about even before that? Like when you were in school, did you know you wanted to consult?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Really?
knew like when I was 21, and I knew I wanted to work in sales. So I'm an internationally published author on salespeople performance. So I've
She's
done
very
like
in the lead
international
here.
speaking,
Woo.
I know.
She's
and
super fancy.
like how to motivate sales reps and how to like enhance their performance. So I knew I wanted to do something with that as well.
I feel like one of your greatest strengths is probably modesty.
I agree with that.
I would say
definitely
that's
agree.
not
Gotta
a
be.
strength, because like I would say maybe it's one of my strengths, but it's not great in like the closing process.
No.
Um, I don't like to like, I'm not like a pushy salesperson, or like,
Good
I
friend
don't
of
know.
mine
I think that
is
would
the same
depend
way.
on who you're selling to. Because
Yeah.
really pushy people turn me off immediately. I don't want to buy anything from them.
So does Jessica turn you on?
This is a private conversation.
You open yourself to that. In general, is there a recurring blind spot for companies that you have consistently observed? Blind spot.
um, I mean, I would say it's always the hiring process that's like the biggest struggle for contractors.
I could
That
see
and
that.
then not having standard operating procedures. So, and those kind of go hand in hand. Is so what happens is we hire somebody like we think is great, but we have really no way to predict if they're going to be great. We just go on our gut feeling, hire them, and then they get in and they have no clue what they're supposed to do or how to be successful at it. So from the jump, like if you don't have a strong team, and that person's not going to be successful in the role, or they're going to have to spend a year trying to figure out what to do.
I think it's especially hard for roofers because they're trying to find somebody that's willing to risk their lives up on a roof. Sales guys that are going to go up and do an inspection. It's probably a little bit easier now with drones, but even with a drone, until they have like an articulating finger, I don't think that a drone is ever going to do anything astronomical for roofing. But when you're hiring someone that you're expecting them to go out and risk their life when they do an inspection, a lot of times you get some interesting characters applying to those kinds of roles.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the people that are applying to be sales reps really care. I mean, that's.
No.
I mean, I haven't got that pushback in talking to people. It's like getting on a roof has not been like a question or one of their concerns. It's more like now we're leaving a job with stable pay and going to something that's 100% commission. What in the world do I do?
Let me ask you a few specific questions, stuff I think that our audience would actually want to know. How important is a CRM program for a roofer?
I would say it's invaluable. I mean, you have to have one. So, I mean, like you can create your workflow, but setting up your CRM, that's where you're going to get your accountability from in the process. And that's how you know like everything's on track. If there's something missing, easily being able to identify that. So you can't run. I mean, I haven't ever seen somebody run a successful roofing company without that.
Even if they have an awesome spreadsheet?
Okay, so I did have one person that called for services. I didn't end up working with him, that he used a spreadsheet, and I guess it worked somewhat for him. But typically, the companies that I work with are more innovative, wanting to use like the best technology, get the best resources to scale. So they're going to have that.
Well, that's why they hired you, right? They're one of the best.
Yeah.
I see what you did there. That was clever. So if the CRM is vital, and I really hope my listeners hear this, because there's so many of you out there that don't have a CRM program, and it's so weird that you don't, because they help so much. When you go to hire someone or do the recruiting deal, do you do a personality test on everybody that you're interviewing?
I mean, if that's something that the client wants. So
Is that something you would recommend?
depends on the specific position. So a lot of times when you ask the right interview questions, you can effectively measure their personality through that. So like structured interview questions, instead of just saying, tell me about your strengths and weaknesses, it's like, tell me about a time where you faced a ethical dilemma and how did you handle that? Give me an example of a time when you went above and beyond to serve a customer.
You ever have
So,
a really crazy story from one of those answers?
I mean, typically the people are on their best behavior
Yeah, they're
during
terrified. How
the
often do
interview.
people lie during interviews?
It's kind of like building a case. I would say, kind of like
Okay.
if someone has like the strong resume and experience, someone has strong references, they come across great in the interview, all their qualifications match, then you're like building a case why to hire that person. But if you see like their references are poor or some of the things are sketch in the interview, then obviously that's not someone you want to move forward with. But personality testing, that can help. Absolutely. It's another piece of the puzzle. It gives you objective information.
Is one of the personality tests that you have, do any of them say this guy's a liar? Do any of them say that in the results? Does it say liar? Is that a result on any of them?
Yeah.
Oh, they're really. I haven't
So-
seen one that does that. I want to see that one.
Yeah, because they're going to call you out if you
Is
take
that a
it.
strength on that particular?
So what it's going to do, it's just going to flag for inconsistencies.
Okay.
So when you're on a personality test, it's like, it's harder to lie because you're going to be asked the question like 6 different ways. So one of the personality tests is, what describes you most? Overachiever, lack of stress tolerance, yeah, like poor customer service or whatever. So you're going to have to go through, or like micromanager. So you have to actually go through and tag which worst quality best describes you and which best quality you've got in there. So it's like, it's more ranking. So it's not yes or no on these personality traits. It's you're ranking your order of traits. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I've been through a few of these now, and they're very interesting and eerily accurate, and it's crazy. But the ones that I didn't actually show me weaknesses. It'll say that my strengths can be weaknesses, but it didn't really say what my weaknesses were, which I thought would have been a little bit more useful information than what my strengths were personally, because I want to work on my weaknesses, not on what my strengths are. Do any of them do that?
Yeah, so like it could be on a rating scale from like 1 to 10, and
Uh-huh.
it'll say like self-confidence, you're a 4 out of 10. Some of it'll be like sales potential, like you're a 2 out of 10, so that's not so
That
great.
makes a lot more sense. I would do that one. What's the name of that one?
There's several ones.
I should just call you after this and have you administer this to me, right?
I can, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that anyway.
I would recommend starting with the strength finders. And then for like leaders that are managing teams, that's a whole different process. Instead of gauging their personality by themselves, I'm going to gauge their personality by their team. So asking the questions directly to the team through a survey.
Yeah, that's a scary thing. You were telling me about that a couple of weeks ago. Like you were gonna. I was thinking about hiring Jess at the time and having her work my organization, and she was gonna ask all of my employees about working with me. And some stuff came down with Gapia and that bill that hit in Georgia, so I wasn't able to really pull the trigger on anything just yet. But that's pretty. See, because of that smile on your face, that's why I'm afraid of doing that. So anyway, but it would be interesting.
Yeah.
You look so.
You can
evil
ask
right
me.
now.
I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, I mean it's completely anonymous. Like if you don't have, you have to have more than 6 people.
I
that
think
report
I'll be
to you.
able to tell.
I told you I'll volunteer as tribute. You don't even have to make it anonymous. I'll say it right in front of him. Just
What if you
ask.
only have one employee? There wouldn't be an anonymous.
No.
Anonymous.
I'm ominous.
Yeah,
a
you
few
need to
more
be
of these.
managing a team, like a business owner, like a contractor that owns the company. That's perfect. I had a client that did that. He had 12 people on the team. So what he realized is that like the whole team. So you also have to rate yourself. So it was like I empower my employees, and he's like, I'm a 10 on that. I empower my employees, but the employees are also rating my employer empowers me, and that was like a 2. So we can see like the huge gap from where you think you are, that you're empowering people but you're actually not. So we can actually see that and then put processes in place to like correct that problem. So it's really great, like identifying the exact issues in the company and seeing the difference between what the leader thinks they're doing right and what they're actually doing right.
That's so cool. That's so beneficial.
It would be. It would be totally useful.
Yeah.
That'd be good data.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And with that process, you also can bring in your peers or your mentors in the industries. You can even survey your customers. So you're getting a complete perspective and feedback
What if
about.
my mentors didn't realize they were my mentors just yet? Would it tip them off? Because I could lose a thing that I have just because I don't want them to know that I'm treating them like a mentor.
I already know I'm your mentor. It's okay.
I don't even know what to say. That's my hat.
I couldn't help it.
So, do you deal with a lot of arrogant people?
She works in the roofing industry. Of course she
I know.
does.
I'm getting there.
You can't ask her that
Of
question.
course she does. But she can't actually say yes to that because her customers are all watching this right now.
I mean,
Now she's struggling with the question.
so
She wants
I
to
would
answer.
say,
She's having a hard time.
I would say maybe like very attached to their belief system is
Yeah.
probably. I'm a psychologist, so I'm not going to give you the answer that you want, but because it's not like, I mean, I can see like behind it. So people that are really attached to their belief system, it's harder to implement changes or to see different points of view. So that can be a problem. But typically, I don't end up working with those people.
In all fairness, though, I feel like somebody who's overly arrogant is not going to admit that they need the help.
No, they wouldn't even go
to
her.
get Jessica
No.
to come.
Yeah.
They would be the pretender that says that they would over social media, but then don't actually do that.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
me.
I mean, I give everyone an assessment before I sign them on as a client. So
I think it's cool. Honestly, it's so needed. It's so needed. And most people don't even realize they need it, or they know they need it, but they're afraid of the cost, and they don't realize that it pays for itself, and it's a big problem for most business owners.
Well, it's actually really interesting because a couple months ago we had John Dye on, and we were talking about empowering your employees and finding employees who maybe you hired them in a certain position and found out due to their strengths that they were better suited in other positions. And we talked about that pretty extensively. And I feel like Jessica kind of does that as well.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
through that assessment, she can place people, and you find out a lot about who you have working for you that you may have not known.
A lot of people put the wrong employee in the wrong place
Oh yeah, for sure.
all the time. And then employee acts like everything's fine because they don't want to lose their job.
Yeah.
But the reality is they're not that happy there, and they'd be better off in a different position, and the company would be better off in that different position. And there's only one way to really find out if that's the case, and that's to go through all these tests and things that someone like Dr. Jess does. So you're a psychologist?
Yeah, I'm an organizational psychologist.
See, that's what I'm talking about with the modesty thing. You have a doctorate, but you barely ever talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, people need you. You need to start talking about it.
I know. I need a hype man is what I need.
You need a hype man. Yeah.
That's a good hype man.
Who?
You're
So-
a good hype man.
I'm not a good hype man.
Yes, you are.
I have made fun of her twice,
Oh, stop.
probably 7 times.
It's like
I
hard
can't
to
count either.
self-promote.
I tease
Like-
people that I like, by the way. If I'm ever teasing you, you know for sure that I really like you. I tell my wife that all the time.
It's like Stockholm syndrome.
It kind of is. I don't know why I do that, but I really like, I don't know. Some of my best friends, the first day that I met them, I teased them a lot. And it's just, I liked them immediately and I couldn't help myself. I had to tease them a little bit because to me, I'm telling you by teasing you that I really like you. Please laugh with me, kind of a thing. But anyway, just you've got one of those faces that makes people want to talk to you, which is probably why you're a really good occupational psychologist.
Organizational.
That's what I said. Organizational. At the top of my chart on my personality test, it says liar. So do you have a couch in your office that people lay down on?
That's like so my grandma, she still thinks I prescribe medicine. It's like, no, that's
Do
a
you, though?
psychiatrist.
Can you?
No.
Are you allowed?
Several roofers have asked me that. I'm not gonna lie, that's like one of the questions that I get asked. Oh, like,
Yeah, that's funny.
I'm like, no, I don't
Yeah.
do medicine.
But if
I
you
don't do
did,
couches.
imagine how many more clients you'd have.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You have to be like, instead of passing out like hand sanitizer at the trade show, it's just like, here's your prescription.
Here's your Valium.
Here's your ADD medication.
Yeah,
For
that's a
most
good
of it,
one.
it'd be ADHD.
Just like come by my booth, get some Adderall.
Yeah.
Like,
It would work. It would work.
no.
At the last one, the storm, they had the IV for people with a hangover.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
They had that at the last one anyway. I don't know if they'll have it at this one, but they
That's
need it
crazy.
because there's so many parties that are scheduled to this thing. It's insane. The whole
Yeah.
thing is just a giant party with a bunch of classes in between that nobody
Kinda
is
like
paying
college.
attention to.
It's like spring break for roofers.
Are you teaching are you doing a breakout session?
Yeah.
What's your breakout
So-
session on?
On building culture.
Like Legos?
Yeah. So with building culture, like a lot of people get confused and think culture is a thing, but it's actually an experience. So it's going to be hands-on. I'm going to work with the audience members to identify the experience they want their employees to have, identify their core values, and then come up with specific ways that we can implement those core values.
You're going to do that right there in the class.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to do like a mini like consulting session with the contractors and have them like work through part of this, like identifying a core value. I'm going to teach them like how to write a core value, how to identify what's important to you. And then go through the process of let's define it together, because service in your company doesn't mean the same thing as service in another person's company.
Is
Can be
there a
very
cap on how many people can attend your class?
No, I mean,
No.
whoever
That
fits
sounds
in the
so
room.
hands-on.
So I'm not
All
going to
right.
be able to answer like all like specific questions that everyone has, but I'm going to walk them through the process. Of
If
how
I
to
miss
use
your
it.
class, will you do that with me?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Because honestly, that would be really useful.
Okay.
Do you know when your class is? Have you gotten a schedule yet? I don't think we've gotten our schedule yet.
No,
Yeah.
no, I don't know
I don't
when
think
it's.
anybody has.
No, we're flying blind.
Yeah. We're talking about bullshit.
I know I'm moderating the women's panel as well, so that's
Are you
exciting.
really?
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
that's cool. Yeah, we had Stephanie Lee on the other day, and she did not want us to ask her anything about being on the women's panel. She was so tired of being asked about being a female in the
Hmm.
industry.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, so I'm creating the questions this year. So I'm
That
going to do
helps.
things a little bit different. I think at other conferences, it's like, tell me why you're a victim in a man's world. Is kind of what it like comes
Right.
out to be. And tell me why you hate all the men in the industry. So it's
Well, you might,
like,
but who knows?
so that's like not great because what we want to rebrand like leaders that happen to be women, not women leaders, and
Yeah.
focus on like creating unity in the industry, and also like portraying like a strong brand. So asking the same questions that you're going to ask to like a CEO panel, I'm going to be asking them to on the women's panel.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, we don't want like men bashing and
You
like
should
it's.
uh you should talk to Stephanie a little bit about it too, because
I
she's
did. I talked to her. I
oh
did.
good.
Oh
That's
yeah.
perfect.
No, we already talked about it.
Yeah, she's tired of that crap. So I'm
I
glad that you're
know.
doing this then. This is perfect.
Yeah, she already asked me. We talked about it.
It might be the
Yeah.
first women's panel that I actually watch.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I don't feel like it's ever like why men are terrible. The whole reason I'm successful in this industry is because of men. It's 95% men. I've had people like Steve Patrick and you and Doug Quinn and Scott Riopel and people that have like gone out of their way to help me become successful and build a brand in the industry. So I'm at where I'm at because like of my network of men in the industry.
That's just because we happen to be in that position, though. It has nothing to do with the fact that we're men. I mean, it just is one of those industries that just doesn't attract a lot of women to
Yeah.
be a part of it. So I don't know. I always thought that that was just a weird thing to have a women of the industry panel, but I'm glad you're doing it differently this year. So hopefully that becomes a trend that passes on. All right, we are past our time. Is there any last thing you would want to tell my viewers? Basically, sell yourself for the next 2 minutes.
God. Um,
But do it not modestly.
okay. Do my like my sales pitch over here.
Your best sales pitch.
Oh God.
You want me to start for you? I've got a doctorate in psychology. I'm way better
Okay.
than every other business consultant out there because I actually have real credentials. You want to go from there?
Um, yeah. So we've been able to track the success of our clients, which is one thing that speaks really highly of us. So on average, our clients are getting 11 hours a week back of their time, which is massive, close to doubling their revenue for the clients that we've worked with. So all of it's tracked and measured. It's definitely like a great experience, and the investment is well worth it because once you're investing in these systems, like you're going to have these for years to come. So the value of that we bring is not only going to be immediately this year, it's going to be for years to come. So the structure that I'm giving is something that lasts and actually makes a difference. Like spending money on marketing, that's something that you're going to have to do, and reoccurring fees all the time. But with us,
Yeah.
it's like that one time investment and you're solid and set up for years to come.
So, are you better than a typical business consultant?
Um,
You're not modest right now, remember?
so
So yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
I would say so.
Yeah.
Just I would say what
I've heard things. I've heard things, Jess. You're a badass at it, all right? You're just too damn modest about it to sell yourself. You're damn good. And,
Yeah.
and I want people to know. That's why I wanted you on the show. So I hope people that reach out to you. I'm going to put your website up real quick.
Yeah.
Is this the best place to go?
Yeah. And then my Facebook, obviously, I've got some content up there.
Perfect. So they can get a hold of you one way or the other. I think you've got your Facebook stuff on your website too somewhere. Well, they can find you that way one way or the other.
Yeah. But we are the best in the industry.
You're damn right you are.
Well, there's nobody else that does it like we do in the industry. So our approach is so there is no competition with our approach. Like no one else is going to be going in hands-on into the business, flying out there like this weekly hands-on accountability approach. So it's really like what sets us apart from the competition. There's no competition for exactly what we're doing. So it's really a radical approach to the industry itself.
Oh, it's completely different. There's no
So,
competition. That's
I
how
mean,
good she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely the best at what we do. So, and I think that comes across just like talking to me in our intake call. And
And every single person that watches this video honestly could use your help. Truly.
probably, I
Even
would
if
say
they
so,
don't
yeah.
know it, they probably could use your help.
Yeah, at least like having, if you want to take the assessment that I offer to like a business checkup, definitely that's free. Happy to talk about.
Great.
Yeah, that's free.
Nice. I like
And
free stuff.
yeah, being able to talk about like your specific needs, whether it's building a team, strategy, even if we don't go through the whole 90-day process, we still offer specific pieces. We offer solutions for starting a business, like the Kickstart package that we have. So our solutions are tailored to exactly where the contractors are at. It's not just off the shelf, here you go.
You definitely get down into the nitty gritty on their particular business and what it is that they need.
Right.
Right. Because
Right.
every single one of them is a little bit different. They might
Mm-hmm.
be roughly the same, but every single one is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time, Jessica. I'm looking forward to seeing you at Win the Storm, which is at the end of this month. We got 3 weeks. There's going to be questions that come in the comments over the following weeks after this just becomes a video that people watch. Are you okay with answering those questions later
Sure.
on?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool.
I'm all about it.
Put your questions in the comments section and she will answer them. She said so herself, right out of the horse's mouth. Thanks, Jessica. I'll see you later. Dude, she really is outstanding.
She's very,
But
very.
she's very modest.
She's very modest. I like it.
I hope people recognize. I think most people that aren't modest that sell themselves a little bit higher than they really are. Like she undersells herself and then just knocks it out of the park.
She undersells herself, I think, as a person, but she doesn't undersell what she can do.
No, that's true.
And I
That's a good
think
point.
that's what's awesome about her
That's true.
is she doesn't want the attention on her. Every time she brought up her company, she said she made it a team and what they can do.
Yeah.
And I think that she didn't fall short on whatsoever.
Speaks volumes.
I think it speaks volumes about her as a person. I like it.
All right, so next week we got Matt Danskin. Is that who's next week?
Yep.
Matt Danskin. You ever seen that? I don't even know if it was Saturday Night Live, but there was something about Matt Damon. Do you remember that? It was
No.
Sarah Silverman. Matt Damon. And he just kept saying his name. It was pretty funny. Anyway, Matt Danskin with the Restoration Referral System. He's the guy that has a whole training session around marketing a roofer's business to agents. And this is something that I have been working on a honest review on. I have until next Tuesday to get that honest review out because I don't want to be swayed by his sweet, sweet words during the thing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an honest review. So I have a deadline. But Matt Dass is going to be on here. He's fantastic. He's a lot of fun to work with. At the last SRC meeting, I had some fun with a guy, and he interviewed me for PA of the Year. And he's doing a lot of TikTok stuff. It is kind of funny, and I want to ask him a whole bunch about the TikTok thing because that's something I kind of want to dabble. Should I dabble?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how I feel about it too. All right, so we'll see you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when we're live. That's when you get to ask questions. That's when they'll get answered. Otherwise, you'll have to get it after the fact. Next Tuesday at 4. I'll see you then.